Sometimes when I'm thinking about us, before we got lost and we parted, back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. Sometimes when I'm reasoning about us, I know you got me, it's so effortless. Back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the FPV News with myself. You know who I am. Heck, they know who you are too, Blunty. How you doing, man?
Yeah. Good, Joshua. How's it going today?
Very good, very good. We are little mini maybe micro celebrities.
Like, yeah.
Medium-sized fish in a very, very small pond.
Yes. This is the smallest amount.
And every week we come to the pond with our school of fit. I'm taking the analogy too far. We're going to come here to do the news, to find out what's new in the world of FPV. And we have a packed show tonight. I decided to go a different direction with the title. Every week I try to make the title like the sort of the most compelling, biggest, most important story. But tonight, the dog
Yeah.
chasing a sausage dangled from a drone.
Yeah, but who doesn't love that? You know,
Well,
it's
I
a
don't know. Maybe it'll be
heartwarming-
our most successful one.
yeah, heartwarming story.
Yeah. Oh, let me just take a second, though, before we dive in. One second. I need to... Oh, there we go. I can't put so much work into those. I can't let them go. Let me just take a second to thank you guys for coming here. Hey, Phantom FPV, good to see you, man. And good to see all of you. Deeth FPV, everybody, Del Squancho FPV. Del Squancho. And everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for coming out. And thank you also to these beautiful, beautiful people in my Discord over here. Sharing all the GIFs. Oh, yeah. Tear it down. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and making it possible for me to avoid getting a real job. You know, the Discord Blunty is pointing out one important piece of news that we didn't put on the schedule. Huff19 here, reminding us that today is my birthday. It's true.
Nice. Happy birthday.
And we're going to let the chat guess how old they think I am.
Okay.
Whenever people find out my age, well, sometimes they say, "Oh, really? I'm surprised you're that old." And maybe they're just saying it as a compliment. I don't know. We'll have to see. Oh, shut up! Some of you guys, some of them must know.
Yeah, to say you're gonna get proportionally too old of numbers now because you said
some of them. No, a whole bunch of them gave the right answer right off the bat. So I must have said it on a live stream or something.
Gotcha.
Cool Cat remembered I'm a year younger than him. I'm 47 today. It's hard to believe I'm 47 for me.
Yeah.
That's the first, like, you know, the big 40. I remember my 40th birthday. I was like, oh, I'm not a, you know, a kid anymore. But, you know, but 47. And apologies to anyone else out there who's 47 and is like, how dare you? I mean, I'm 47 now. That's the first time, like 46, I still wasn't quite like 50 yet. 47, it feels like it's hard to stop rounding that, to keep rounding that down. Once you're 40, 46, you could almost like keep rounding it down. You're in your 40s.
Yeah.
Now I'm like almost 50. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's better than the alternative.
True. Very true.
All the people older than me in the chat being like, just wait, it's coming. Do you want to tell people how old you are, or you want to keep it a secret? I don't actually think I know how old you are.
Sure, I'm 31.
31.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe it's the hair. I guess I would have guessed older.
Yeah.
Just I feel like
I've had a full beard since I was like 15. So.
Oh, we want to see a picture of 15-year-old Blunty with a full beard.
Yeah, I've almost never been carded, like ever. So
maybe someday in the future, for the news, we'll get to see what that, you know, one of your high school photographs, you know, high school yearbooks.
We'll see.
All right, Fabio Pansera,
right.
Good to see you here as well. Good to see you. That's my editor. Anybody who's new here. All right, let's you know what, Blunty, let's dive right in. I don't even want to go like tease them. I'm just ready to dive in. We got a packed show.
Yeah.
Let's just go straight in with number one, a public service announcement.
Yes.
JHEMCU ExpressLRS defective, says the title, which anyone who's watching this and isn't part of FPV is just like, explain.
What did those letters mean? Yeah, so PSA for folks, if you have any of the JHEMCU ExpressLRS receivers and you're having issues, or maybe you ordered them, you're going to get them, both the SP24S and the EP24S are having a weird issue because of poor QC. They used oscillators that were too cheap. And unfortunately, they are too far out of spec, so they sometimes will not bind at room temperature. And you can verify this is a problem by trying a heat source or a cooling source. And if you lose LQ or gain LQ, you know, if you can't bind, and these fix it, then you will know you do have this issue, and you can contact your vendor to fix the problem. So heat gun, if your JHEMCU binds currently, and you have an SP24S or EP24S, I would encourage you maybe, you know, hit it with a heat gun from a little bit of distance, and see if you lose your binding or your LQ drops like crazy, because you'll want to return that just in case that happens on a quad.
Right. You don't want, that's the worry. You're like, well, mine's binding. I guess I lucked out. No, you don't want to go outside and it's cold or hot and then suddenly it doesn't work. Yeah. This really, I don't want to bang this drum too much, but I feel like I always want to reiterate that, which is that the biggest problem with ExpressLRS is the inconsistent quality of the hardware, which, as I've said before, when you're buying a Betaflight flight controller, you know that Diatone is a different manufacturer than Maytech than iFlight. And so if you get a bad one, you just go, well, F them. But I think people need to hear that, especially as ExpressLRS appeals more and more to people who are new to the hobby. Not all ExpressLRS are equal, and some are higher quality than others. Do you know, Blunty, whether JHEMCU worked with the ExpressLRS devs, or is this a case where the manufacturer just kind of went their own way, built it based on the reference design? And
there's a comment in that. There's a comment in that PR from about 10 days ago from Yamato, who's also in our Discord chat. If you scroll right where you are, scroll down just a little bit there, and you'll see Yamato's comment there. So Yeah, we as devs would like JHEMCU to come in contact with us directly and provide us with schematics and samples directly, as such a direct line of communication would allow for these issues to be solved, as well as provide support for their hardware. Which is basically like, hey, if you give us your shit and talk to us, we will help you fix this before this happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And I'm almost to the point, Blunty, of saying that if a manufacturer releases a piece of ExpressLRS hardware, like Jumper did this with their Jumper module, if they release a piece, and there's nothing wrong with that Jumper module, by the way, Jumper did it, as far as we can tell, a fine job. But if a manufacturer releases hardware and doesn't send it to the ExpressLRS devs for them to look at and give their opinion of before they sell it, then I'm just, in the case of the Jumper module, the people who got it were inconvenienced by the fact that there was no target for it in the ExpressLRS configurator, and they just couldn't update it easily. So even that, like manufacturers of ExpressLRS gear, the devs will work with you. You need to work with them.
Yeah. And then FOG Yamato just confirms in our chat, JHEMCU did not talk with us at all. So
yeah. So and this is funny to me, Blunty, because some people say, well, why do they need to do that? Just build it according to the reference design.
And this is why.
Like, clearly, it's not that simple.
Yeah, and the many issues that people have had are exactly why. This kind of stuff needs to be checked to confirm, and they can tell them like, hey, this thing you ordered is not going to work properly, and you're going to have problems when the temperature changes.
Right, because the devs know that oscillator won't work, right?
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Yep. And it's not like it's a paid service. It's like, hey, it's only paid for you giving us a little bit of hardware so that we can make sure it's working. There's no monetary.
Right. The devs do it, and the thing is, they do it for free. They give their time.
Yeah.
God knows why, but they do. And so, like, why wouldn't you run it by them?
Yeah.
Well, because maybe they don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they've been told many times, but hopefully it'll continue to get passed on, and people will start talking. Beta FPV obviously has this issue. A couple other companies have had this problem quite a few times. So hopefully it'll get better and better as this improves, and there's a lot of other options,
Yeah. Rumpelstiltskin says, why don't they register ExpressLRS as a trademark and then have some kind of like official ExpressLRS certified? But the ExpressLRS devs have explicitly said they don't want to do that. They don't want to put themselves in that position.
Yeah, the last time we talked about this, we had a couple devs in the chat, and I know their official stance has been, they're not interested in that course of that path of doing things. So that may change eventually, but it doesn't seem like that is the case. So they prefer the way it works right now. So
yeah. Okay. Well, enough about that. I have to clarify something real quick. So Fabio Pansera, my editor, is in the chat, and he was like, "Did you forget something?" And is in the middle of the story and was like, "No, what did I forget?" I told him about my birthday. I believe he's alluding to the fact that it's also his birthday. Do we share a birthday, Fabio? Or do we have the exact same day, or are you like one day off from me?
He said, I have the birthday one day after Joshua.
One day after. Okay. That's what he was getting at.
But it's only here because it's the 26th there already.
Yes. Happy birthday also to you, Fabio. Yeah. How about that? What a coincidence, right? A random guy that I hired on Fiverr 3 years ago. We had our 3rd anniversary recently. Nice. I hired him on Fiverr, and he did a couple edits for me, and now we've been together for 3 years.
He does a great job. So
yeah, he's all right. People in the chat are saying he needs to do a LUT for you. So he did a LUT for my camera, so it looks nice. Now people are like, Blunty needs to. I actually like it that you have a slightly different color tone.
Sure.
And that I look better.
That's why.
My camera, not me as a person. Okay, let's move on.
All right, we got a lot of stories to get through.
Oh, no, I think I'll just insult you some more. Okay, let's go.
All right, so our next story up is HDZero VRX. The receivers have been delayed. We talked about that a little bit before. We just got an update, and they are not going to make it this January as scheduled. Xeon is still in lockdown. It was locked down for over a month. And unfortunately, yeah, they're not able to handle that. Also, they're letting people know that the Orqa integration, Orqa teased a little bit when they launched their goggles that they were going to talk to HDZero and get them to use their special port. So they have said that they're not going to be able to make that request happen, and it will just have HDMI output. So it'll still work with the goggles, but it just won't work with that special proprietary port like was reported before.
Yeah. I recently, like literally yesterday, I did an interview with Surgeon, the CEO of Orqa, and that's gonna. Hey Fabio, that's coming to you, buddy. He's gonna be editing it. It was about an hour and a half we talked, so I will be editing it down to something more digestible for YouTube, but probably publish the full interview too, just so people can hear everything he said. But one of the things I asked him about was that port. Like, what's the point of this special port? What's the justification for it over just using HDMI? And he alluded to something that Carl also alluded to in a separate conversation that we had. Carl had talked about the 4 millisecond glass-to-glass latency for the HDZero. And he was like, well, how could you possibly do that? And he said, well, if you bypass the HDMI buffer and go straight into the screen from the VRX, then you can cut out a lot of latency. And that is the same kind of thing that Orqa is apparently trying to do with this proprietary interface.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we mentioned that a little bit when we talked about it as like speculation, but that definitely makes sense as kind of the only reason it would be helpful, because the actual HDMI chip part doesn't take a lot, but the whole part where you don't know what's on the other side and you have to go through the rest of the circuitry and like the whole buffer on the back of the screen and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Be able to pass all that directly in.
Yeah.
Super positive. So
keeping it synchronized.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, I guess, that HDZero can't use that for now because it would have helped, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, if you wanted to imagine that Carl was cutthroat, and Carl doesn't strike me as cutthroat, so I don't think this is accurate, but there is a competitive argument for not supporting that. If only the HDZero goggles have the 4 millisecond glass-to-glass latency, then that's a reason to buy them. So,
that is,
don't know.
That is true.
Yeah. Still, as long as we're talking about that Orqa port, the other thing he said is that it's a generic digital interface. It's not just like an HDMI replacement. He said, like, for example, if you wanted to have a front-facing camera on your goggles, you could hook it up via that interface and feed that into the screen and, like, switch between them. So, anyway. So that 1 watt VTX is delayed, and they will not be using that port. Anything else?
Well, that and the VRX, the receiver, is the big thing there.
That's big because nobody has HDZero VRXs right now. Nobody has the SharkBite ones.
Yeah, this post was specifically about the VRX. I think the VTX is produced in the same location, so it's got the same issue. But yeah, this was specifically about the VRX. So.
Unfortunate. Because there's people out there right now, I've seen them on Facebook, and they're saying, yeah, okay, I'm sold. I want to do HDZero. I'll buy the camera. I'll buy the VTX. Where do I get a receiver? The Scout HD is the only one that I think you can get right now.
Yeah, there's some on Amazon. I know they were like 18 a day ago that you could buy on Amazon for the 250. I think the big thing people are going to do is wait to find out what the price of this is. Even if you can find a $250 VRX, people are scared to go like, oh, is it going to be 150 somehow, or are they going to find a way to get it cheaper? And if that's the case, it would feel bad to purchase it now, especially when it feels like old tech, even though it's not. It's the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think the $99 thing really helped them, but now we're in the tail end, and there's this buffer period they didn't expect, I think, and now we're kind of seeing people like, maybe we should wait. So
yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's just the world we live in with lockdowns and other sort of difficulties of sourcing and economics and stuff. So.
Well, something they were able to get out with some prototypes. We'll move on to the next story. HDZero has some 1S Whoop VTXs, so no step down, some basic 1S. I believe it'll be 1S to 4S when it comes out. But it actually fits in a 65 millimeter Whoop. It had to do a little bit of shave down on this Whoop, I think, but he said that he talked to them and they're going to get it to fit properly in a Whoop frame when it launches. So it's pretty cool.
This is Mr. Shutterbug, for those who don't know. He is a real enthusiast for tiny whoops and micro quadcopters, and he could probably build the lightest quadcopter of any spec you choose. He's just an amazing talent for shaving weight, and he's a he's a good pilot and everything too. So he's got this guy down to, what is this down to, Blunty?
24.8 with that, and that's dry, but that is real good. I mean,
yeah. So for comparison, 20 to 22 for an analog whoop with battery is sort of the benchmark. So what is
that's without battery, right? I think 20 to 22 is like dry.
Is that without?
Yeah.
Oh well, that's maybe. Maybe I guess I thought I knew that, but I guess I could be wrong. You probably know 90, better. You probably know better than me.
Yeah, I'm in the 90th percentile of being sure there. So.
Yeah. What is the total weight with the battery? Do you have any idea?
I'm not sure on this loop, but like typically I think anywhere from 26 to 31. Like I think my B-Brain with the EP on it is 31 with the 1S nitro nectar on it. So.
Got it. So he's got it down to approximately the same weight as an analog whoop.
Yeah, so Modulus 6 is 20 grams dry. So yeah, if you add a battery, it's 4 to 6 grams.
I don't know why I misremembered that. I guess I just get my wires crossed sometimes. So there you go. I'm glad you're here to set me straight.
Yeah, so this is really like right in the ballpark. I'm already flying the HDZero, the 2S 75mm from Happy Model. I've got that, and I've already been thinking a lot about the tiny trainer got pretty popular, and people started doing the spec races for the tiny trainer because it's like it doesn't matter about the weight; it's just fun to fly and spec race them. I really feel like that's where this will go. If the weight can't quite hit analog, if people don't want to class them together, which I think maybe we'll get to class them together, but even if they don't, I think this is like rife for spec racing because HDZero has the normal channels. It's not like there's no output from the goggles, so you don't have so many issues as DJI, though you can still make DJI work, right? But yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of reasons why this is going to be super killer for the whole whoop racing community, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think anyone who flies whoops understands the desire for better video. And if you could get HDZero quality video at only a gram or two additional weight, I think most people would consider that a win.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is that 75mm 2S you were talking about? Is that available? There's people in the chat saying, where do you get that? Is that sold for sale yet?
Yep. I think we showed it on the last roundup. But yeah, it's the Happy Model or HDZero Mobula 7.
So, that one, yeah.
Yep.
HDZero Mobula 7. Yeah, here it is on Get FPV. So if you're looking for a bind and fly 2S whoop, 75mm.
I do believe they're out of stock like everywhere. But I'm sure Happy Model is trying to make more as soon as they can. So
yeah, well, obviously. Like
it looks
sell you more.
Yeah, Defiance RC will let you pre-order them, but I don't see any in stock.
Yeah, I don't think that would hold my breath on that kind of thing.
Yeah,
pre-order is pretty iffy these days. On the other hand, maybe you got to pre-order them if you want them at all. Scott Walker says 533 has them. Fly533.com. They sell a lot of SharkBite stuff. I mean, HDZero stuff. I'm not calling it SharkBite anymore, are we? Fat Shark is. Like I don't even. Do we have a search? Do we have a search? Do we have any? No search. Is there a search? Am I crazy? Don't know. There's no search here. Frames, no. Find MISC, more, no. MISC. Well, they say it's for sale at 533. Maybe it is. I can't quite find it. But you can dig around. You guys can dig around and see if you can find it. Why is there no search?
Oh yeah, if you click at the top, there's a HDZero button up there.
Oh,
but it is out of stock.
So. Oh, well. The chat steered me wrong, Blunty.
I cannot believe it.
How dare they?
Preposterous. Chat knows everything. Don't you know that?
Some things. It was in stock. There was one. They sold it. Alrighty. Moving on.
All right, we got a couple of firmware updates. First up, I'm going to take a look at ExpressLRS 2.1 has been released. The next update, for anyone wondering, you can definitely bind anything 2. Anything together So that's how it works. 1 point anything binds together, and then 2 point anything binds together. So this will still all be compatible.
Yeah, that was big news for me because I'm used to, oh my God, I have to update. I have to keep everything up to date. It's nice to know that Alessandro said basically any compatibility break, they would always try to advance the major version number. So like, for example, if you have the beta FPV module, which is now supported properly in 2.1, you can update that module, but you don't have to update all your receivers if you don't want to, as long as they're on 2.0.
Yep. Yeah, so we got a couple cool things. One thing they wanted to shout out, and I think it's super cool, kind of the opposite of what we talked about with JHEMCU and beta FPV. This release has had a lot of input from Axis Flying. So Axis Flying, we know, has the expensive TX, but however, in that TX, they've got a bunch of extra stuff that they're supporting. So they've added support and helped the code base for support with the thermal sensor, a gyro sensor, a TFT display, and some framework for the menu system. And Axis has been helping them with that stuff. In addition, they've just got some better web interface stuff set up. You can go up to 5.25 megabaud now. Pretty
That's
cool.
going to help get your latency down.
Yes. Though at that point, we're shaving like, I think the 420 is somewhere in the realm of like the previous highest one, somewhere in the realm of 0.065 ms, I believe.
That's
so
pretty
we're shaving,
low.
Yeah, we're shaving like 0.1 ms here. You know.
Hey, we gotta win those shootouts. They gotta win those shootouts with Mark Spatz. ExpressLRS and Trappy are gonna be shaving fractions of a millisecond trying to take the crown, way past the point where it's actually relevant.
Yes. Captain Bry also says one of the cool things, you can download firmware from a running RX or TX. So you can't do OTA yet, but you can do the other way of OTA. So if you've got one RX that works out great and you've got it flashed and you buy 3 more, you can just pull your info from the one RX and copy those bins to the other ones instead of having to rebuild from the configurator, if that's something that's easier for you.
Now, how does that work? Do you pull it to your SD card, or do they transfer it over the air wirelessly?
No, I believe it pulls to your SD card, but I'm not. Maybe Bry can tell us in the chat.
We're so close. We're so close to the thing I actually want.
Yes.
If you can flash from the SD card, we're so close. It's coming. I can't wait.
We're getting there. So.
I also want to just say I really appreciate the work that Axis Flying is doing. My understanding, I'm not looking at the GitHub repo, but my understanding is that they are actually contributing code. They're not just taking the code and using it and selling product, but they're actually contributing to the project, which is such a good guy thing to do, and they deserve so much credit for it. But as I said on my live stream yesterday, I think maybe Sunday, when their module is $130, I just think it's hard to as a reviewer, I want to be like, good job, Axis Flying, but I just cannot tell people that they should buy that module because it's so expensive. I just feel like most people just don't feel like it's worth it, no matter how good it is. So it's tough. But
yeah,
you get so many gold stars, Axis Flying. You're a good guy, good citizen. I wish that would translate into telling people to buy your module. I mean, if you want to spend $130 on it, go for it. It's well worth it. But most people don't.
So some clarity from Bry and Yamato. So basically, you go to the web UI. You can do that on your phone or a computer. And then you can, once you're on the web UI, you can download, and then you can upload that same file to any other RX. So if you're in the field and you've got one working RX and you forgot to update the other one, you could technically update in the field. But
with your phone.
Yep. We're not quite there to OTA over the TX.
It'll happen. What they're going to do, this is what they're going to do. It's so obvious that if I can think of it, they've already thought of it. They're going to do it using the Wi-Fi, right? Clearly. Like the module is going to make a Wi-Fi network. The receiver is going to associate as a client. And then the module is going to push the firmware update using the Lua script over the Wi-Fi. That's how they're going to do it. Just makes sense.
I think it's just more like compatibility. It's just like how many times are you in the situation where you updated your TX but not your RX I don't know, it's weird because you have to build on the fly too. So They,
Well, that's yeah. You can't do that.
yeah.
You can't build
Yeah.
on the fly. What you need
Yeah.
is to be able to have it already on your SD card somehow. But like, anyway, I've talked about that before. I'm not going to rant
All
about
right.
it again. We'll save it. All right,
So
cool.
also,
ExpressLRS 2.1.
yeah, another update we've got is EdgeTX 2.6. And EdgeTX 2.6 is out for us. And they have a whole host of little bit of features here. So we got on-radio theme editor, so you can edit themes when you're on the radio. There's new theme support. We talked about a little bit before. One big change I'd like to mention real quick for people. Previously, if you remember, color radios and black and white radios were different. So black and white radios stored things on the radio.
Yes.
And color radios stored things on the SD card. However, that has changed in this release. Once you flash 2.6, even on black and white radios, those settings are now stored on the SD card.
Nice. Just always nice when people bring those things sort of together and create
in parity.
A continuous or a compatible, consistent user experience is always nice. I actually didn't know this. Surprisingly recently, I was like, wait a minute, why do some radios say no SD card and they won't run, and other radios ship without an SD card in them? And it's that they just were not functioning the same. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other? Oh, go ahead.
Also, they've changed to YAML, which won't be a big deal for many people, but I think for some people it will be. It changes the way configurations are done, and it's way more plain text. It's way more clear, and yeah, it should be more ideal for development and other things on the back end. So.
So you're definitely going to want to be using EdgeTX configurator if you're doing backups or configuration, and you're going to want to make sure that everything gets updated, together, so that everything is nice and compatible. Any other major features in here?
Settings were previously binary, so now you can read them. And yeah, it's a lot easier. Let's see. Model widgets support transparent pictures. That's kind of cool. You get touch capability for Lewis grips. That's new.
That's big.
Yes. Now they detect FlySky Hall gimbals, so that will work automatically. And a bunch of other random fixes. Also, this is the Zorro and T-Pro update. So anybody who has a T-Pro or a Zorro, you can now run a release.
Nice. Zorro coming. No one should really have a Zorro yet. Have they shipped?
I don't know I think they're shipping this week or next week. I heard somebody told me that, but I don't know that they've shipped yet. Probably just early guys.
Evolution DroneWorks says that EdgeTX does not support the Zorro yet.
Well, in this release, it says support added for the Radio Master Zorro.
Yeah, it's 2.6. This release. That's the one. That's why it's news.
Yes.
All right. Next up
in our headline.
Our headline: Stranded dog lured to safety by sausage dangling from drone.
Yeah.
All the ways that drones make our lives better, Blunty.
Yeah, hit that second link there that YouTube will check out. We'll get an idea of what we're actually talking about here. But yeah, so there's some mud flats out in this area, and there's a little dog that wandered out onto the mud flats, and they couldn't walk out there and save him because they're mud flats and they'll all get messed up. So they were trying to get the dog to come back, and he would not come back. And they were coming up with all these kind of different things, and they had some volunteers in the area who cooked him up with sausage. And
what wouldn't you do for a sausage? Yeah, where's Henry? Henry really needs to know about this. This dog is like, what the fuck? I mean, but obviously. Oh, is that? We go.
Yeah, you can keep going. Yeah, they'll have some video later. Yeah, but they were able to get him with the drone, and they even said in the report, they're like, I think we would probably do this again.
I mean, if he catches the sausage, then he's going to bring the drone down, potentially. It's tough. You got to swing that sausage close enough that he can smell it, and he's going to follow it. This is a really tough flight, actually. I want to see more of oh, here comes a boat to get him. Or maybe that's the person's, that looked like a drone shot. Maybe that was if we were playing the audio, then it would be easier to know, but I don't want to risk I mean, I guess if they're going to copy strike the audio, they'll copy strike the video. Don't know. Okay,
It
this is
seems
the
like they
same
don't have
shot
much
of the dog.
B-roll. Yeah,
This
I
is the
think they don't have
same
much
shot of the
B-roll.
dog. Okay. All right. We're gonna just draw this out into a 5-minute story, aren't we? Are we gonna draw this out? Come on. I want to see the dog get rescued. He's just standing there. Go get the sausage. Why are you standing there? Oh my God, it's the same shot of the dog standing there. Wow.
I think we've seen the extent of the B-roll.
Oh my God, they're just reusing the same B. Oh, there we go. Yay, good boy. Wow. Blunty, I'm glad we don't stretch our news out by showing the same B-roll like 42 times.
Yeah, they just get to look at our faces.
I could use a sausage right now. All right. Well, now we have fulfilled the promise of the title. We've shown the dog being rescued by the sausage.
Yeah.
Next up, we're going to do some community spotlights.
Yeah, we've got a pretty cool one up first. The OpenTX Telemetry Analyzer by Ronnie Mac. So if anybody who doesn't know, you can log your OpenTX telemetry in your radio. And if you do that and you've got GPS in there, or if you don't, but if you have GPS, you get extra features here. There's a little tool here for you. So you can export your subtitle files and you can select which ones you want to do so they can be on your screen for you. But the main thing you can do here, which I think is cool, is you've got a map. So if you flip to the map button up at the top there, it'll take your flight and then it will lay it down on the GPS and it will give you your telemetry information over the course of the flight with color coding to show you where it was high and low. So this is pretty cool.
See, like here's your altitude.
Yeah.
Your distance to home.
But you can do things like LQ. I think the coolest thing here is you can do things like LQ, right? So you get an automated LQ map and you can see like, where are my pain points of LQ and signal?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So
for some reason,
you need GPS, of course.
Issues. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Blunty. DJI latency, DJI bitrate. That's very cool.
Yeah, so if you want to troubleshoot some of that stuff, this is a great way to do it, or just kind of get a visual of the flight area. He's obviously got an issue in that little area there, and it's pretty easy to see, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't fly through there,
I'm going to guess that he was flying this way and turned around to come home, and that's why, like, why is this red, but this is green?
Right. Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe he's in a weird spot, or there's some kind of reflections, or who knows?
Yeah. So that's all. How do I go back? Oh, here we go. That's all linked in the video description, this tool. And in order to do that, you're going to need to know how to create your OpenTX telemetry log, which is also linked here. It's going to log a CSV file to your SD card. Oh, of course, it's an Oscar Leon tutorial. So you'll need to set that up. But once you've got that data, this is really, really slick.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Slick. Northern Tier FPV thinks this is a better story than the sausage.
But would you have clicked on it if you only saw OpenTX Telemetry Analyzer? Like that's not really a headline.
That sausage is a winner. People are clicking.
Yeah.
How's our viewer activity? 576 viewers. They're all here for the sausage dog.
All right. Another community spotlight. We've got 2 community spotlights today. We've got the CRSF Joystick project by HouseFPV, Mike Neiderhauser, who lets your radio wirelessly connect to SIMs, but with a receiver. So there's a couple different solutions we have nowadays, right? ExpressLRS, you can do Bluetooth joystick, but that kind of depends on your Bluetooth stack, and the Bluetooth can be a little bit of latency. There's also wireless dongles for like FreeSky and things like that. But this is kind of a solution for all the stuff. So you can use anything with CRSF. In this case, it's ExpressLRS, and you hook it up to a little Raspberry Pi, and you get USB right in the computer as if you were plugging in your USB on your radio. So pretty cool.
So the little Raspberry Pi is translating between the receiver and the USB on your computer.
Yep, it's just translating CRSF to the USB HID standard for the computer.
Interesting. So that requires that you have a Raspberry Pi, which many people do, but...
Yeah, and this is the cheapest. I think this is the cheapest Pi you can buy. Because
Yeah.
it's like the little Pi Pico.
Mm-hmm.
So
Anybody know what the latency's like? Like, is it decent or is it bad?
I don't know. I don't know that
Guess we
he's
don't know.
tested it, but it seems like it's pretty good. So
Yeah. Cool. I hadn't seen this before tonight. This is the first I learned about it. I thought that maybe because the Crossfire module has Wi-Fi in it, right? It can do Wi-Fi
It's-
cloud. I thought maybe it was
Yeah.
going to be some kind of Wi-Fi or Bluetooth direct from the module. So I'm slightly let down, but it's still a pretty cool project. Guess my hopes were higher.
I think it's pretty cool.
It is cool, and thank you to Mike Neiderhauser for the work that he did on that.
Yeah. Also, just a quick congratulations to him. He also just had a baby, so congratulations to his baby girl. Yeah.
Well, yeah. No more time for open source projects, that's for sure.
Yes. Glad he got that done.
Yeah, glad you got that done. I don't know how you whipped this up in such a short time, but thanks to the wonder of the Discord server, we have this
Nice.
as the thing.
That's a good one.
File under references no one but us will get.
Yeah, I like that one though.
Yeah, that's nice. Everybody says, see, look, Blunty, I accuse you of being the negative one, but look, I'm being negative and you're being positive. You're being super supportive of Mike's Crossfire project, and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't that impressed. And now there's this shirt, and you're like, that's a cool shirt. You know, I think we go both ways. I think we trade back and forth. Who's a hater and who's being positive?
Yeah.
Next
Just depends
we
on
get
the topic. When
right.
we're talking about fun things or simple projects, I seem to like them more when we're talking
Right.
about like things that large companies make. That really piss me off. Seems
Well,
like I'm mad.
You say the negative things that I'm thinking, and then I'm like, well, I have to provide some balance, you know.
Gotcha.
Except occasionally we both just pile on.
Very true.
We got another sort of point of interest, which is Amphibious Drone.
One we got. Hold on, we got one before that.
No.
Oh no, not amphibious. Yeah, you're on the right
reconfigurable
story
drone.
there. Yeah, so shape-shifting reconfigurable drone. That's what we got.
Did I mess up the titles? I might have messed up the titles. Oh well, life will go on.
We'll be okay.
No, the titles are sacrosanct. Go ahead.
But check this thing out. It's they've got this drone that they can collapse the arms on the fly to make it do whatever it needs to do, and then live bring them back and flip them around and make it fly again. So you could do all kinds of cool stuff with articulation of those arms.
Yeah. Do we get to see it like go through a tiny gap by
literally
collapsing the arms?
Yes.
Did that literally just happen?
Yes, it did. If you go back, yeah. Go back from right there. Oop. So we can see a couple different things it can do. So it can pick stuff
like
up.
Picking stuff up. It can collapse on a wire.
Yeah.
That's really slick. There we go. Nice.
Yeah, so it can like kind of drop through the gaps. It can go through side gaps. Basically any way, it needs to, it can get through. So pretty cool.
Are the motors reversible?
Yes, I'm sure they are. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe they have to be, yeah.
That would make more sense. Yeah. And then it, handles the mixer for when the arms are collapsed or the motors are reversed. It can keep flying. Yeah, just like that. Wow, so it's using torque on the pitch axis. That's really cool. Now that's really cool. Whoa. That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen anything like this before. I know some of these stories we see and they're like similar to previous projects or whatever. We've seen like a foldable drone you can unfold to fly, but I don't think I've seen anything that folds in flight like this for like active movement and articulation.
Picking up the box, moving the box. Nice. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, they had been working on this for a while. I know their first video on this was in March, and this is a follow-up to that, where they've gone a lot farther with the tech. But yeah, super cool. Hopefully we'll see that in more cases. And I think anything like these kind of applications lead towards applications of like search and rescue, or like articulating jobs up high where people would normally be doing stuff, moving lines and things. So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. I just think the ability to sort of perch on a power line or whatever has interesting potential. I guess you can perch a
Absolutely.
lot of places.
Jeremy Sar says you could
Yeah,
just pick up the dog.
props are reversible. Yeah, really slick. These are the kind of things that it's hard to imagine. There's gonna be some use for it potentially in the future that'll blow your mind. But in the meantime, you're like, well, that's cool, but what's it good for? One of the reasons that I thought the Linchpin project was worth supporting. I mean, Terrence Howard put up tens of thousands of dollars of money as a prize, and that alone means for some people it's worth it. But just because you look at the project and go, I have no idea what the point of this is, that just means you're a hater like me. And, somewhere out there, someone's going to come up with a good use for it. So this is really cool, though. This is kind of blowing my mind. Now the titles are correct.
Yeah. This drone is an amphibious drone, kind of. So this is kind of interesting. I had just never seen this concept before, so I thought we'd take a look at it. Instead of making a drone that could actually fly underwater, instead they made a system with 2 drones. And this drone lands and then all has combination remote control, so that this drone lands and then drops the amphibious drone under with a tether to it for control. So I thought that was pretty clever.
So the underwater drones are often tethered because radio signals don't propagate well through water. You have to have very, very low frequency signals, which are low bandwidth. So a lot of times they'll use a tether for power and for signal. You fly this out from your boat, you land over the shipwreck, and then you go down.
Yeah, pretty neat. So you can get places you couldn't maybe otherwise, or just places that are maybe differently accessible from the shore, stuff like that. Kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Drones. Does it get back in the little cage as well?
Yes. It will go right back up in the little cage, store itself, and then fly away.
Wow, that's really slick. Alrighty.
People are really into this sausage story today.
The sausage story is king.
Yes.
Well, I'm telling you, we need to go back and we need to watch that freaking dog again. It's sausage.
All right.
They're saying they can rescue sausage dog underwater. Every story we have to relate back to sausages and dogs. Much like a dog stranded on a mud flat, JHEMCU's receivers are messed up and in trouble. We just relate them all to the sausage. If there's dogfish, they can bring it to sausage fish.
All right.
No.
Well, next up, we've got an event. We've got a micro drone race at the National Museum of the United States Air Force. So if you've ever wanted to go race some whoops around some planes in a museum, this is a cool way to do it. The National Museum of the United States Air Force. And so you might be seeing all this stuff. This is pretty cool. This is going to happen in Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio, February 25th through the 27th. Tickets go on sale the 29th of January, and we've got the link in the show notes. I would imagine this will sell out, much like Booptopia or other similar events do. There's only 48 pilots on this one.
Spectators are free, as it says there.
Yes.
So if you want to go, it's just a cool place to be and a cool place to watch a race. But obviously, if you want to fly, you better get your ticket. We Bleed FPV, Newbie Drone sponsoring it. Blunty?
Yeah.
You going?
No, well, I don't think I'll be able to make it to Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Unless somebody wants to pay for me to go there. Maybe we could figure that out. But,
I mean, I'm sure. You never know. Start a GoFundMe.
You never know.
But,
so one thing real quick, I did want to point out, the last couple of years they've had this will be the 3rd year they've done this. And the last 2 years, as you can see, that room is pretty rough for multipathing. There's planes and metal things everywhere, and they're all kinds of different shapes and all that kind of stuff. So instead, they have come up with a solution that I think is pretty cool. We've got a special solution here for multipathing. And basically, what that is a box they built. And this little box houses basically Yeah, so this is what it normally looks like. This is
Oh.
what it looks like with the new solution. So
Oh.
yeah, so basically, instead of a single rapid fire, they found a way with their system. They've got 4 sets of rapid fires here, or 4 rapid fires, 2 sets of rapid fires, but they've also got 2 more of these boxes located in different places. Yeah, and basically these boxes, they take the rapid fire signal, they reduce it by 10 dB before it goes in. And part of the reason for that is because the multipath signals will be weaker than the normal signals. So if you can drop that cutoff, maybe you can cut out the multipath and just have a weaker version of the good signal. And that's what they're doing here. In addition, they've used multiple of them, and they've got them all running in to a specific box. And that box uses special software to, on the fly, over 100 times a second, change the signal just like a normal diversity receiver would, but with the 4 video signals from the rapid fires.
Yeah, that's really slick.
So you've got rapid fires doing their own mix mode on them, and then you've got true diversity with the 4 rapid fire signals. So pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, that distortion that you're seeing in that analog video, that sort of shimmery distortion, obviously anybody who flies analog in this kind of environment recognizes that. And that's multipath distortion caused by the signal bouncing around all the metal and concrete surfaces. And you usually don't see that outdoors. That's why whoop pilots are particularly susceptible to it. We ran into this approach. There's a trick that I learned. Maybe you already know it as a whoop pilot, Blunty. At the whoop race in Tennessee, we were having a lot of trouble with multipath, and they said, take your antennas off. And some people in the video I posted were like, why is nobody wearing their antennas on their goggles? When you take your antenna off, all of the incoming signal is weaker. And so the hope is that the multipath will fall down below the noise floor of the module and basically get attenuated and gone. Whereas the good signal is just strong enough to be picked up. And in fact, it worked.
I can tell you in most cases, if it's not better, it's the same as having antennas on. Like, I rarely find that having antennas on helps inside of a big building with a bunch of whoops.
Yeah.
For the reason you said. And so, yeah, they're using that same principle here with attenuators, you know. And then also, you know, he talks about using, you know, just very simple omnis pointing up and down. So there's no like patch pointing at anything. So there's no like weird reflection generation from that. And yeah, like I said, they have another one of these boxes across the building so they can pick the best signal from wherever it's at. And then they also have one in the, like as a backup, they can set up as a third one. So they're really prepared for this.
Yeah. You know, Immersion RC actually has a system like this. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly like this, but it's a distributed video system that they use at the big DCL races, where it looks like an 8-way lap RF, but it's rapid fire receivers instead of timing system.
Oh, okay.
And uses, you know, whatever Ethernet cables or something to send the video signals back and sort of diversify between them and so forth. But as far as I know, they've never produced it for commercial use. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, links to all that stuff down in the video description. If you're thinking about going, there's details down in the show notes below. Last up, Blunty, I love this title. You came up with this. Every week we have, sometimes we have stories that we think are just like a little bit too small, maybe not worth doing a whole segment on. Or we have stories that we think are kind of interesting, but there's no real angle to them. And you've put a bunch of these together into a bit that you are calling, go ahead.
It's barely news.
It's barely news.
Yeah,
love it.
Because it is barely news, but we're going to tell you anyway, because that's what we're here to do. So we're going to blast through these and talk about them real quick.
All right,
so
hang on. Let me get them all up. I'm going to bring them all up in order. I'm blowing your momentum. Here we go. Get this
all
one.
right.
I don't want to blow your momentum. Once you get going, I know you're not going to want to stop. So I'm going to get all the pages. Okay. Here we go. Right. All right. Number one.
First up, a drone over a Premier League match has caused players to be pulled off the pitch. Unfortunately, some asshole flew a drone over a soccer match, or football, as they say over there, and caused the game to get shut down for a little while. Play stopped for about 15 minutes, and they tried to find the asshole with the drone, and they were able to go when the drone left. So
yeah. So uh, you know, F you, buddy, whoever you were. If only they had remote ID, none of this would have happened. Next.
Next up, Swedish police are hunting for a drone seen over a nuclear plant. They are trying to find, there were a couple of them, but there were one in particular they were trying to chase down, but they were unable to catch it, as seems to be often the case. They did see a large one. It looked sort of like a wing, and they tried to find it, but they were not able to find it. So hopefully it wasn't over the nuclear plant doing anything weird, probably just a random flight, but something to report and let you know about.
Yeah. Don't fly around nuclear plants, you boneheads.
And then the third thing that we could say for some idiot flying over some stuff, some asshole flew over a Bengals game. And he didn't just fly over the Bengals game, he flew into the Bengals game, flew around people. He posted it on YouTube. He didn't seem to understand what was wrong in the comments. It was a real mess. And
do we have actual video footage of his flight? This looks like a frame grab from the actual flight that was published.
That is a frame. That is a frame grab from the flight. I did not link the YouTube for to not try to promote it. But
oh well, I just clicked on it. Yeah. So to try to, I hate to blow your bit by saying something actually helpful, Blunty, but in the United States at least, large gatherings like this almost always have a flight restriction. And I mean, there's also FAA rules about flying over gatherings of people. But even if for some reason you were able to fly in this area normally, almost always there's going to be a TFR or temporary flight restriction put up prohibiting you from flying in this area. Now, obviously, you know, this guy might have done it anyway and not cared. Oh my God, he's just flown right down in and he's just hovering right in the freaking end zone. This is, how do you not know this is not okay? Like, this is just rude, you know? Just rude. Wow.
Well, the FAA is
they're all waving. Get the fuck out of here. Go ahead, Blunty.
Yeah, so the FAA is definitely looking for him. And honestly, I hope they find him because that's a terrible idea.
So, is this Brick by Brick production? Is that the pilot? Do we know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. As far as we know, that he has commented on like he is the pilot. Yes.
Okay, well, he's boned because you know, I mean, he's boned. Surely they're gonna get him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Right, what else we got?
The United Arab Emirates has grounded most private drones after there's been an attack in the area. Unfortunately, unfortunately, you're not able to fly some drones there. Previously, there were residential restrictions and some other restrictions for residential pilots, but you could get a waiver. Unfortunately, now they have banned drones for the next month completely, basically, unless you have a hardcore waiver and you're doing commercial work. So yeah, don't fly drones there in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's some interesting discussion about, you know, whether this is a sign of things to come for drones elsewhere in the world. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Government's approach to anything that they see as a problem is initially just to ban it and hope they get, you know, keep that horse from getting out of the barn. So,
yeah,
do not know. All right, next up.
Next up in the news, AK, a pilot we've talked about many times here, who's one of the premium whoop pilots in the country, has decided to go acro. We talked a little bit about acro versus angle at the Whooptopia and the progress of drones and stuff, and AK has decided to make the switch and swap over to acro. So we've got a little video here if you want to play just a little bit of it. I think it's in line there. Okay, I think it's just on that page there.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to mute that. It's really loud. There we go. Oh, I mean, he seems fast, but we reckon he was fast before. It's those diving moves where acro really shines, don't you think, Blunty?
Yeah, absolutely. Though there's a lot of other times too where, like in angle, sometimes it can be hard to like maintain a sideways yaw roll. So like if you're going up a ladder, sometimes like you're doing it sideways instead of like you're yawing but you're level and you're going up the ladder. But if you were acro, you could tilt farther and then maintain like that pitch up to pull up yourself up the ladder easier, I feel like. I think one of the things we talked about before is just, you know, angle is a limit. That's the whole point of it. It's limiting and bringing you back to center. So with enough practice, enough skill, and enough learning, you should be able to do basically what you can do in angle, but better in acro. It's just harder on crashes and in some of those weird situations.
I asked at the this weekend when a bunch of really, really fast racers were over at my place. One of them was Levi, and he commented that I said, why did nobody switch before now? Why were they all flying angle? And one of the things he proposed is that the hardware just wasn't good enough yet, that the motors, the flight authority, they just in acro, they just weren't better. And now the hardware has finally gotten to the point where they fly as good enough to make it worth going to acro.
Yeah, I certainly think like at least the transition to brushed made that possible, or brushless from brushed. I bet a lot of the old brush stuff was a lot harder to do this with. But I bet this has been possible for a while. It's just like people have had that idea that, angle is the thing to fly in most of these cases. So I'm interested to see how much more of this happens and what the cases are as we move forward. But he is definitely not slow in acro.
No. There's no question that this is one of the power of racing, which is that racers pushing to be better and be faster find sort of chinks in the armor and find little quirks that everybody else would have ignored. So kudos. And last up, we've talked previously about the Jetson 1, and the Jetson 1 is still coming. So they've got a new promo video out for the Jetson 1, and I thought it was kind of interesting. They are still taking orders for this thing, but they have announced they've got 163 orders already for this $90,000 a piece.
Yeah, deliveries are expected to begin in 2023, and they've got 163 of them queued up as of January the 17th. So.
Oh, I'm so psyched they have more pictures of the thing. I still want to know, do you fly it in like actual manual mode? Or are you basically does it do altitude control by itself and you're basically just driving
they talk about they talk about this in that video actually, or that in this video. The throttle is a up down like DJI versus a throttle like you would traditionally.
That's okay. But what I would be disappointed to learn is that it essentially just hovers, 2 meters off the ground and you're just driving it. You see what I mean?
I mean,
like,
I believe that is kind of the
ascend?
case.
Can I ascend arbitrarily?
Oh, yes, you can ascend. I do believe they let you ascend. But I think it has all the other things you would expect, like all the protections of making it so you can't slam in the ground, so it'll keep you from going too low.
That's okay.
But, from what they were talking about, though, it does seem like you can go up. And you can kind of control that with the stick. So.
Yeah, that's really slick. I'm not paying $90,000 for it, but wait a minute. You can't use this. You can't just put this on screen and say Lucasfilm to promote your product. Surely they didn't license that footage.
No,
right?
I'm sure they did.
Wow, we're doing there. That's probably the most expensive thing in this whole commercial. Oh man. Well, Jetson, not like you need me to make a video about your little thing, but yeah, let's do it. There was that other company that was supposed to have me out to do their thing. Remember, there was that other company that was making a drone of like a man drone.
Sure. Is it the bigger one that's got like the 4 corners on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what that thing's called, but yeah, we looked at a couple videos of that.
We talked, and he said, "How about we do an interview?" And I said, I don't want to, I was just basically like, yeah, you're going to just spend 35 minutes telling me how great your company is and your product is.
Yeah.
I was like, how about you have me out and you let me fly it? And then we'll do an interview. I haven't heard from him. Alrighty. That is going to bring us to the end of the news this week. Blunty, thank you so much.
Somehow we always make it right in that pocket. We're 5:03, right in the time pocket.
Sometimes it's 7:20 by the end. Sure. But so this week we did it right on schedule. You're going to have a hard time beating drone dangles sausage in front of dog next week. But I think you can do it though.
We'll try.
All right. Let me get these super chats before we go. Macchiago, thank you for a $10 super chat. Just saying thanks to both of us. And Blunty, you're the man with the ExpressLRS help. Awesome.
Great.
Odysseus, thank you for $1, and Almike FPV, thanks for $2. We will see you guys next week, 6 o'clock, same time. Look at the schedule.
Yes.
It's easy.
Yeah.
With more FPV news. Night, everybody.
Absolutely. Take it easy, guys.
I didn't do